Wait, you're actually doing this. Her voice cracked as I zipped up the last suitcase. I thought you'd never have the courage to leave. I didn't turn around. My hand gripped the handle so tight my knuckles went white. 3 years of my life were packed into 2 bags, and somehow that felt about right. We'd been living like roommates who occasionally had sex for the better part of a year anyway. I guess you thought wrong, I said. I'm 27. She's 25. We'd been together since college, living in this apartment for 18 months. On paper, we probably looked like we had it all figured out. Good jobs, nice place, friends who called us relationship goals. They had no idea. Please. Natalie stepped in front of the door, mascara already running down her cheeks. Can we just talk about this? We've talked. For months. You just never listened. That was the truth of it, wasn't it? I've been trying to have real conversations with her since last Christmas. About us. About where we were going. About why I felt more alone when she was in the room than when she wasn't. She always had the same response. You're being dramatic, or every couple goes through this, or my personal favorite. You're just stressed from work. I listened, she said. I heard you. I didn't think you were serious. I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter, nothing like how I used to sound. That's the problem, Nat. You never think I'm serious. About anything. Her hand reached for mine, but I pulled away. That small gesture, me pulling away from her touch, seemed to hit her harder than anything I'd said. Her face crumpled. When did you stop loving me? She whispered. The question hung in the air between us. I could have lied, could have softened the blow, but I was so damn tired of protecting her feelings while mine got trampled. I didn't stop loving you, I said quietly. I stopped liking who I became when I was with you. It started small, like these things always do. About 8 months ago, I got a promotion at work. Not a huge one, but significant. More responsibility, better pay, a real step forward in my career. I came home excited, already planning how to tell her over dinner. She was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Hey, guess what? I'd said, unable to keep the smile off my face. She didn't look up. I got the promotion. The senior analyst position. Oh, that's nice. Still scrolling. Does this mean you'll be working later? That's nice. 2 words. That was it. No congratulations. No excitement. No, I'm proud of you. Just concern about how it affected her schedule. Probably sometimes, I'd said, the excitement already draining out of me. But the pay increase is solid. We could finally take that trip to Portugal you wanted. We'll see. I'm trying to save for that photography course. Right. The photography course. One of about 6 hobbies she'd picked up and dropped in the past year. Before that, it was pottery. Before that, learning Italian. Before that, starting a book club that met exactly twice. I didn't say any of that, though. I just nodded and went to change out of my work clothes, feeling somehow smaller than I had that morning. That night, I called my best friend Trevor. Dude, congratulations, he'd practically shouted through the phone. Senior analyst at 26? That's insane. We're celebrating this weekend. Thanks, man. Yeah, that'd be great. Natalie must be thrilled. I'd paused too long. Trevor knew me well enough to catch it. She forget or something? No, she was happy. Just distracted. I could hear the skepticism in his voice. You know you can tell me if things aren't great, right? Things are fine, I'd lied. Just been busy. But they weren't fine. That was just the first time I really noticed how not fine they were. You're rewriting history, Natalie said now, her voice rising. I was supportive. I always supported you. You tolerated me. I corrected. There's a difference. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? I cut her off, years of swallowed words suddenly rushing out. Spending every Friday night with your friends while I sat home alone. Canceling plans with me last minute because something came up, but never missing a single brunch with the girls. Making me feel guilty for asking for one weekend away together, just the 2 of us, while you took 3 separate girls' trips in the same 6 months. Her mouth opened, then closed. She had nothing to say to that, because we both knew it was true. I remembered the 4th of July. I'd planned this whole thing, rented a cabin upstate, near a lake. Thought we could disconnect, reconnect, remember why we got together in the first place. I'd booked it 3 months in advance, cleared it with her multiple times. The day before we were supposed to leave, she came home with this apologetic look I'd learned to dread. So, Chelsea just broke up with Derek, she'd started. Okay. And she's really going through it. The girls and I are thinking about taking her to that spa resort this weekend. You know, girl time, help her process everything. I just stared at her. We're supposed to leave for the cabin tomorrow. I know, baby, But this is kind of an emergency. Chelsea needs us. What about what I need? She looked genuinely confused by the question. It's just a cabin. We can go another time. I already paid for it. Non-refundable. Well, maybe you can take Trevor or something. Or just get a refund anyway. Tell them it's a family emergency. You want me to lie to get our money back so you can go to a spa? Why are you being so difficult about this? Her voice had taken on that edge, the one that said I was the unreasonable one. Chelsea is going through a crisis. And we're not. What's that supposed to mean? I let it go, like I always did. Told her to have fun. Went to the cabin alone. Spent 3 days hiking and fishing and trying not to think about how my girlfriend chose everyone else over me, every single time. She sent me 3 texts that whole weekend. One was a group photo from the spa. The other 2 were asking if I'd remembered to pay the electricity bill and whether I'd picked up her prescription. I chose you, Natalie was saying now, tears streaming freely. I moved in with you. I built a life with you. You moved in because your lease was up and this place was nicer than yours, I said flatly. And you built a life that happened to include me, not with me. There's a difference. Stop saying everything like it's some kind of truth bomb. You're twisting everything. Am I? When was the last time you asked me how I was doing? Not, how was work? Or did you do the thing I asked? Actually asked how I was doing. Silence. When was the last time we had sex that wasn't just you letting me because you felt obligated? More silence. When was the last time you introduced me as your boyfriend with any kind of pride instead of just this is my boyfriend, in that flat voice like I'm some guy who's just there? That's not. I don't sound like that. You do. Trevor pointed it out 6 months ago. Said you introduce me the way people introduce their dentist. She flinched at that. Good. Maybe she was finally hearing me. The thing is, I didn't want to hurt her. Even now, walking away from her, I didn't get any joy from watching her cry. But I was so tired of shrinking myself to make her comfortable. So tired of being an afterthought in my own relationship. Do you remember Valentine's Day? I asked. Her brow furrowed. We went to that Italian place you like. We went to the Italian place you like. I wanted to try that new steakhouse. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'd spent weeks planning Valentine's Day. Bought her this beautiful necklace, white gold with a tiny diamond, something she could wear every day. I'd written her a card, an actual heartfelt card about what she meant to me, even though things were already rocky. She got me a card from CVS, still had the price sticker on it, and a 6-pack of beer. I put thought into that gift, she said defensively. You bought it in the checkout line on your way home from work. The card still had the price tag. So, you're mad about a price tag? I'm mad that I spent 2 weeks picking out something meaningful, and you grabbed a card and beer as an afterthought. I'm mad that when I gave you that necklace, you said, "Oh, this is pretty," and then never wore it. Not once. It's still in the box in your drawer. I was saving it for special occasions. Every day with someone you love should feel special enough. That shut her up. The truth was, that Valentine's Day was when I first started emotionally checking out. I remember lying in bed that night, Natalie already asleep beside me, staring at the ceiling and thinking, this is it? This is what love is supposed to feel like. I'd felt lonelier in that moment, lying next to my girlfriend, than I'd ever felt in my entire life. Is there someone else? Natalie asked suddenly, her voice small. No. Then why? Because being alone is better than being lonely with you. The words hit her like a slap. She actually stepped back, hand over her mouth. I wake up every day in the same apartment as you, I continued, and God, once I started, I couldn't stop, and I feel like I'm invisible. You walk past me in the kitchen like I'm furniture. You make plans for our weekends without asking what I want to do. You stopped kissing me goodbye in the morning. You stopped asking about my day and actually listening to the answer. You stopped seeing me. That's not true. When's my mom's birthday? What? My mom's birthday. When is it? She stammered. I don't. June? July. March 15th. We've been together for 3 years, and you've never once remembered my mom's birthday without me reminding you. But I know yours is August 3rd, your dad's is November 22nd, and your sister's is January 7th. I send them all cards without you having to ask. Her face went pale. What's my favorite movie? I don't know why. You don't know? After 3 years. It's The Shawshank Redemption. I've watched it at least 10 times since we've been together. You've never watched it with me. Not once. You always say it's too long or not your thing. Movies don't matter. What about my promotion? When was it? What position? I don't understand what you're. 8 months ago. Senior analyst. You said, that's nice, and went back to your phone. I came home with the best news of my career. and you couldn't be bothered to look up from Instagram. Each fact I laid out was like a brick, building a wall between us that had probably been there all along. I just hadn't wanted to see it. "You're being cruel," she whispered. "I'm being honest. For the first time in months, I'm being completely honest instead of swallowing it all down and pretending everything's fine." The worst part, the absolute worst part, was how long I'd let it go on. 3 months ago, we went to my company's holiday party. I'd been dreading it because Natalie hated these things, always made it obvious she didn't want to be there, which made me feel like an asshole for asking her to come. But this one was important. My boss was going to be there, some higher-ups from corporate. It was a chance to network, to be seen as a real person, not just a name in an email. "Do I have to go?" she'd asked when I reminded her that morning. "It would mean a lot to me if you did." She'd sighed like I'd asked her to donate a kidney. At the party, she spent the entire time on her phone. When my boss came over to introduce himself, she gave him a limp handshake and immediately went back to scrolling. When my colleague David tried to make conversation, asking her what she did for work, she gave one-word answers until he awkwardly excused himself. I spent the whole night apologizing for her behavior, making excuses. She's shy at these things. She's not feeling well. Long day at work. The truth was simpler. She couldn't be bothered to pretend to care about something that mattered to me. On the drive home, I'd finally said something. "You made me look bad tonight. I was there, wasn't I? That's what you wanted. I wanted my girlfriend to act like she gave a damn about me. God, you're so dramatic." I showed up. I smiled. "What more do you want? I want you to care. I do care. Then act like it. For once in your life, act like being with me is something you chose because you wanted to, not because it's convenient." We didn't speak for 3 days after that fight. And you know what the worst part was? She didn't even seem to notice. She just went about her life, posting on social media, texting her friends, watching her shows, completely unbothered by the fact that we weren't talking. That's when I knew, really knew, I was done. "I can change," Natalie said now, desperate. "I'll be better. I'll listen more. You'll try for maybe 2 weeks. Then we'll slip back into the same patterns. Because the problem isn't that you can't change, Nat. It's that you don't think you should have to. That's not fair. You told me last month that I was too sensitive because I got upset when you forgot we had plans and made other ones. You said I was overreacting when I asked why you never wanted to spend time alone with me anymore. You made me feel crazy for having basic expectations in a relationship." I could see the recognition in her eyes. She remembered. She knew exactly what I was talking about. "I needed you," I said, my voice quieter now. "Not just physically here, but actually present, actually invested, actually choosing me over everyone and everything else, at least sometimes. And you couldn't do it. Or wouldn't. Either way, it doesn't matter anymore. Please." She was full-on sobbing now. "I love you. I do. Maybe you do. In your way. But it's not enough." I picked up my bags. She didn't move from in front of the door. "Nat, please. If you walk out that door, we're done. You know that, right? I won't take you back." There it was. Even now, even in this moment, she was trying to control the narrative, trying to make it seem like she had the power, like I'd come crawling back. "I know," I said simply. "That's what I'm counting on." Her face crumpled completely. I think that's when it finally hit her. I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't trying to scare her into changing. I was actually, really, truly leaving. I thought. She started, then stopped. Started again. "I thought you'd never have the courage to leave." I didn't have the courage, I admitted. Not for a long time. I stayed way longer than I should have because I kept hoping you'd wake up one day and actually see me, actually value me, actually treat this relationship like it mattered. It does matter. You matter. Then why did it take me packing my bags for you to say it? She had no answer for that. I moved toward the door. This time, she stepped aside, her whole body shaking with sobs. My hand was on the doorknob when she spoke one more time. "When did you know? When did you decide you were done?" I thought about that Valentine's Day, the cabin weekend, the promotion, the holiday party, all those tiny paper cuts that eventually bled me dry. Honestly, I think I've been emotionally gone since the 4th of July, maybe even before that. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. Her sharp intake of breath told me she understood. All those months of me going through the motions, being polite but distant, present but not really there, it all made sense to her now. "You've been a ghost," she whispered. "Living here, but not really here." "Yeah, I guess I have been. Why didn't you say something?" "I did. You just never heard me." I opened the door, stepped into the hallway. She didn't try to stop me again. "I'm sorry," she called out as I walked toward the elevator. "I'm so sorry." I didn't know. I didn't realize. I pressed the elevator button, didn't turn around. That's the thing, Nat. You should have realized. If you'd been paying attention, you would have. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. I stepped inside. The last thing I saw before the doors closed was her, standing in the doorway of our apartment. Her apartment now, finally understanding what she'd lost. Trevor's guest room was small, but comfortable. He'd cleared out space in the closet for me without being asked, put fresh sheets on the bed, even bought my favorite brand of coffee. You did the right thing, he said that first night, handing me a beer. Doesn't feel like it. It will. Give it time. He was right. It took about 3 days. 3 days of waking up without that constant knot of anxiety in my stomach. 3 days of not walking on eggshells, not second-guessing everything I said or did. 3 days of being around someone who actually listened when I talked, who asked questions, who gave a damn about my day. My phone blew up for the first week. Natalie called, texted, left voicemails. Each message was a different stage of grief. Anger. You're a coward for leaving like this. Bargaining. Can we please just talk? I'll do anything. Depression. I don't know how to be without you. I didn't respond to any of them. There was nothing left to say. Her friends reached out too. Chelsea, ironically, sent me a long message about how I was making a mistake, how Natalie loved me, how I'd regret this. I blocked her number. My mom called on day 5. Natalie told me what happened. She said carefully. I'm sure she did. She said you left out of nowhere, that everything was fine, and then suddenly you were packing bags. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Of course she did. That's not what happened. Mom, I tried to talk to her about our problems for 8 months. She either ignored me or told me I was being dramatic. Nothing about this was sudden. Not to me. There was a long pause. Then, are you okay, sweetheart? My throat got tight. Yeah, Mom. I actually am. Then I support you. Completely. You deserve someone who sees how incredible you are. That's when I cried. Not because I was sad about Natalie, but because I realized how long it had been since someone said something like that to me. How starved I'd been for basic affection and appreciation. It's been 2 months now. I found my own place, a 1-bedroom downtown, walking distance from work. It's smaller than the apartment I shared with Natalie, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every decoration, every decision about what goes where, all mine. I hung my Shawshank Redemption poster in the living room. Bought myself a nice whiskey set for the kitchen. Set up my gaming console without anyone complaining about the cords or how it looks messy. I started going to the gym again. Reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with because Natalie never wanted to do couple things with them. Picked up guitar again, something I'd stopped because she said the noise bothered her. I'm not going to lie and say I'm completely over it. 3 years is a long time. Sometimes I still reach for my phone to text her something funny, then remember. Sometimes I wake up and forget, for just a second, that I'm alone now. But mostly I feel lighter. Like I've been carrying around a weight I didn't even realize was there until I put it down. Trevor had a party last weekend. I met someone there, Katie, a friend of his girlfriend's. We talked for 3 hours about everything and nothing. She laughed at my jokes, asked about my job, and actually listened to the answer. Told me about her work as a veterinarian, her eyes lighting up when she described it. When I mentioned I was supposed to pick up my mom for lunch the next day, she said, "That's sweet. You sound close with your mom." Such a small thing. But it meant everything. Someone noticing something about me, making an observation, caring enough to comment. We exchanged numbers. Haven't texted yet. Not sure if I will. I'm not looking for anything serious right now. But it was nice, being reminded that there are people out there who actually engage, who participate in conversations instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. People who see you. I ran into Natalie 2 weeks ago, completely by accident. We were at the same coffee shop. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. She saw me before I saw her, and I watched her face cycle through about 6 different emotions in 3 seconds. "Hey," she said, walking over. "Hey." Awkward silence. "You look good," she offered. "Thanks. You too." Another lie. She looked miserable. "I've been in therapy," she blurted out. "Trying to work through some stuff. My therapist says I have avoidant attachment style, and I use minimization as a defense mechanism when people try to communicate needs to me." "That's good. That you're working on it." "Yeah." She looked down at her coffee cup. "I'm sorry. For real this time. I didn't get it before. How badly I treated you. How much you were trying. I get it now." Part of me wanted to say it was okay, to make her feel better. Old habits die hard. But I didn't. "I appreciate that," I said instead. "I hope therapy helps." I really do. Is there any chance? No. She nodded, like she expected that answer. Can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy? I thought about my small apartment, my guitar, the gym membership I actually used, the friends I'd reconnected with, the lightness in my chest where the anxiety used to live. Yeah, I said honestly. I really am. Her eyes got shiny, but she nodded again. Good. You deserve to be happy. I'm sorry I couldn't be the one to make you happy. I'm sorry too, but I think we both know it wasn't working. I know. She wiped at her eyes. I just wish I'd known sooner. Before you were already gone. I tried to tell you. I know. I didn't want to hear it. We stood there for another moment. Two people who used to share everything now with nothing left to say. Take care of yourself, Nat. You too. I walked out of that coffee shop and didn't look back. My phone buzzed a few minutes later. Trevor. Still on for poker tonight? Yeah. I'll bring beer. Katie's coming. Just FYI. I smiled. Cool. Life wasn't perfect. I wasn't completely healed. But for the first time in over a year, I felt like myself again. Like I mattered. Like my feelings were valid and my needs were reasonable, and I didn't have to apologize for taking up space. Natalie thought I'd never have the courage to leave. Truth is, it didn't take courage. It took reaching a point where staying hurt more than leaving ever could. It took realizing that I deserved better than someone who saw me as an obligation instead of a choice. It took being so completely done that walking away was the only option left. And you know what? Best decision I ever made.